Welcome to the fourth video in the series on advanced orchestration techniques. In this video, we are going to discuss dynamic techniques and how they can be used to give both depth and shape to your arrangements. A dynamic technique is a specific strategy for emphasizing or bringing attention to specific moments or parts in your arrangements. In this video, we will discuss 4 of the most common and useful dynamic techniques available. We'll learn both how and why you should use them in your own music. So with that, let's get started. First, let's kick things off with additive and subtractive accentuation. These are by far the simplest and most useful of our 4 strategies. Additive accentuation is the simple idea that adding new instruments to a part helps make it sound more full and powerful. This can be as simple as just doubling a particular motivic idea in your melody, or it can be as creative and nuanced as selecting specific notes or beats to accent in your music. In our example, we have the French horn playing a motivic idea, but an octave below, the celli are performing a simplified version to help accent the most important notes in the motif. One of the most common strategies for applying additive accentuation is to underline the crescendos in your music by gradually introducing more and more instruments to the line as the line gets louder. For example, we could have the French horns and celli playing in unison. Then the first violins could join a few beats late, before the second violins enter and the 4 sections perform the final notes in octaves. Since more and more sections are being introduced gradually, it would result in an equally gradual increase in volume for the whole idea. Subtractive accentuation is the same basic idea, but in reverse. Removing instruments from a part or line helps make it sound smaller and less intense. One of the most common strategies for applying this tool is for creating natural diminuendos, where the instruments gradually drop out as the line gets softer. Next up, we have registral accentuation. This strategy is a little more complicated and nuanced tool for providing natural emphasis in your music. The idea is that you use the specific registers of an instrument to enhance the dynamics of the line. This works best for woodwind and brass instruments, which have a natural tendency to become more or less intense, depending on where you move in their range. There are 2 basic strategies for applying this tool. The first is to have an instrument gradually climb into the strategic register. For example, you could have a trumpet player start comfortably in their middle register, while performing a line that moves gradually higher and higher. As the trumpet begins to approach its upper register, its sound will become more intense and bright, contributing to a strategic and gradual increase in dynamic level and intensity for your music. The second strategy is to have your instrument make a sudden leap into the strategic register. Sticking to our example of a trumpet player, you could write a single line that starts in the lower to mid-range for the instrument, and then suddenly leaps an octave higher at the start of the new phrase. This would result in a sudden and substantial increase in both the intensity and energy of your music. Now, deciding on which of these 2 strategies you want to use will depend on the kind of effect that you want for your music. Next up, we have coloristic accentuation, which is the most subtle and arguably the least common strategy in the group. It's the simple idea that new tone colors can be used to bring more attention to strategic moments in your music. All of this is built on the premise that we've already established in the first video of this series, that novelty demands attention. The strategy here is to identify moments where you want to provide a little emphasis and strategically switch instruments to accomplish your goal. The most common use for this strategy is to switch instruments performing the melody line at the start of a new phrase. Finally, one of the most useful strategies and a close relative of additive accentuation is orchestral resonance. Orchestral resonance is a strategy that mimics the sustain pedal on a piano. When a piano player presses a key, the sound is normally cut off the very moment they lift their finger. However, when the sustain pedal is used, the note will continue to ring out until it either dies out on its own or until the pianist releases the pedal. This can be used to create a much more sustained and rich sound, with the notes blending into each other. And even though the orchestra does not have a sustain pedal, we can achieve something similar. To use this strategy, the notes in question must be performed by a minimum of 2 voices. The first voice is your primary voice, and the second is the secondary. The primary voice will perform the note like the pianist, playing it only as long as necessary to perform the initial idea. The secondary instrument acts as a sustain pedal. They perform the same note at the same time as the primary note, but they do not move on. Instead, they continue to hold the note for as long as you need in order to create the desired effect. This strategy tends to work best when the primary voice is the strongest and most prominent, so the secondary voice can fall into the background more easily. And with that, we have reached the end of another video. I hope you found it helpful. I want to take a quick moment to thank my wonderful patrons who make videos like this one possible. I also want to thank each and every one of you who show your support through the many kind emails, comments, and messages that I receive. It means more to me than you know. If you would like to show your support, there are links in the description below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, keep studying, keep working hard, and keep writing new music.